All right, folks, it's Tuesday, June 10th, 2025, and we need to talk about this big, beautiful bill, which is going to lead to a big, beautiful bull run for XRP and all the other assets for that matter, as we are set to see another round of massive inflation. But we combine this with the stablecoin legislation, the market structure bill, XRP spot ETFs going live, the SEC versus Ripple case concluding. A new IPO boom is now taking place as well, too, for crypto companies. That was started by Circle. And we, put all of this together, and it brings us into the golden age of investing in America, but only if you get into the asset ownership class. So in this video, we're going to talk about, what's happening in the current events, what's happening in our cryptocurrency space, another institution choosing the XRP ledger. They're going to be tokenizing commercial debt on the XRP ledger. Maybe those all the money guys weren't so crazy after all, huh? So we're going to get you caught up to speed on that, but then conclude this episode by talking about how this big, beautiful bill is going to lead to a big, beautiful bull run for XRP and the rest, as long as you can hold on, and hopefully you can even acquire more of these assets before this comes through. So without further ado, let's get into the episode. Reminder, I will be back live tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern. We do it every Tuesday, Thursday, 10 p.m. Eastern live. Hope to see you there. We'll do Q&A as well. Let's get started here by taking a look at the markets. We were back up to 110,000 for Bitcoin yesterday. Nice little pop here. And we're cooling off this morning, back on down below 109,000. China and United States are continuing their trade talks in London right now. Those seem to be doing well. And so the market responding well, running up here. We have the CPI lie coming out tomorrow. And then we have the next Fed meeting and interest rate decision on June 17th. We're expecting us to be moving higher until then. For XRP, it was up to 232 yesterday, consolidating back to 227. This is after we backtest 206 into my purple box. And like I said, why do I have June 11th here and June 17th marked off? Well, June 11th is our full moon. We've been seeing bullish energy for XRP around those full moons. Whether you believe in the moon and the stars, just look at the correlation for yourself. And then we also have the CPI lie. That's going to be tomorrow, June 11th. And just like we anticipated, we started to rally and move higher into that date. Okay? A little bit of volatility over the next 24 hours as the CPI lie gets released. We expect that. Little back test is healthy, but we are going to continue higher throughout the rest of, well, at least for the next week and a half, taking us out to June 17th. Now, into the markets, this is the main point here, guys. The top 1% of U.S. earners now have more wealth than the entire middle class. This only gets worse with these big, beautiful bills getting passed. Record inflation is going to be coming back, higher deficits, more deficit spending, adding on to that national debt. And there's only two ways out. You default on it, or you inflate your way out of it. Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary, says that we're not going to be defaulting. That means that we're going to be making that money printer go burr. Get yourself on the right side. Get yourself into the asset ownership class before the massive money printing and inflation, that next wave, comes back, because this only gets worse. The top 1% of U.S. earners now have more wealth than the entire middle class. Yeah. Now, 60% of Fortune 500 companies are working on blockchain projects, Coinbase reports. They are here, and they're going to be coming in even heavier into the digital asset space, right? So we have over 60% of Fortune 500 companies now working on blockchain projects. What's interesting to note is how many of them have been working with companies like Ripple and many of the other companies that we've invested in or invested around, right? XRP, Stellar, HBAR, Algorand, some of these projects that have been at the table. Now we're seeing that these companies are coming around and announcing it publicly that yes, we are coming into the DLT space. When you combine this with the regulations, stablecoin market structure with the big, beautiful bill, I'm telling you, this launch pad is set. XRP and these assets are going to be moving a lot higher through the rest of this year. Apex 2025, big announcement. This is the digital commercial paper now live on the XRP ledger, administered by Guggenheim Treasury Services, one of the largest independent commercial paper platform managers in the world, and powered by Zaconomy. With 280 million in issuance, DCP is the first native digital commercial paper on the XRP ledger, bringing a fixed income asset secured by US Treasuries and rated Prime 1 by Moody's to the XRP ledger. See what's happening now, it's not just companies coming to the XRP ecosystem and saying, hey, we're going to keep XRP on our treasury. We're going to keep it on our balance sheet as a reserve currency. We are seeing that, and that's fantastic. But we're also seeing them come to tokenize, in this case, $280 million of commercial debt, commercial paper on the XRP ledger. Now, folks called us crazy for saying that XRP wasn't just going to be for cross-border payments, that it was going to be for all the money. Now, have we ever believed that everything was going to be tokenized on the XRP ledger and all money and transactions of value were going to be on the XRP ledger? No. The point of talking about all the money was to get people to understand that the XRP ledger was ready for all the money. It was ready for tokenized real estate, bonds, stable coins, commercial debt, all of it, right? And now it's coming out and playing out, coming to fruition for all to see. Absolutely love to see it. Now, we're going to continue here on this thread. Digital asset investor says, looks like something is cooking with Uphold. Expect the dominoes to begin to fall. This is Simon McLaughlin, the CEO of Uphold, putting out a post on LinkedIn talking about how it is true, the recent rumors are true, that Uphold has appointed investment bank financial technology partners to evaluate strategic liquidity options for us, including a potential US IPO or a strategic sale to another company, such as leading banks, brokers, payment firms, and other financial institutions. We are on track to deliver more than $300 million in revenue this year, compared with just $80 million in 2022, propelled by strong enterprise adoption, consumer growth, and an exceptionally strong US customer base. This has been going on for more than a decade that Uphold has been providing these services. We remain the world's only fully transparent reserve, which publishes its assets and liabilities every 30 seconds. What matters most to us is that whatever course we ultimately choose, our mission remains unchanged: to bridge traditional finance and on-chain money, broaden access to digital assets, and innovate responsibly for customers and partners worldwide. This is why Uphold always has a special place in my heart, because they allowed me and many of you guys to get XRP during the lawsuit when Coinbase and so many other exchanges had delisted. So I have Uphold linked up down below. Most of you guys already probably have an account with them, but if you don't, they are one option that I keep close by, right? I use Coinbase mostly for trading futures. I don't really like Coinbase, but I'm kind of forced to use them to trade my futures. And by the way, I'm up over about 20% on my XRP long right now, so that's good. But then I've been using Uphold now for basically since 2020. I think 2020 is when I transitioned from Coinbase to Uphold and started accumulating XRP over there. And so Uphold always will have a special place in my heart. But I think that they're going to IPO here soon. This is the next IPO boom is here. Circle started the party off, and I think that Circle rushed to IPO because they wanted to squeeze as much out of that valuation as possible, and they wanted to go public while interest rates were high. So much of Circle's revenue is dependent on high interest rates because they're backing their stablecoin by the treasuries, right? So in this higher interest rate environment, their valuation is going to be higher. When interest rates inevitably come back down, well, that valuation is going to be corrected back towards its fundamental value, probably back to what Ripple actually offered for the company. But I think that Circle, they drummed up the hype, they drummed up the speculation on a Ripple Coinbase bidding war so that they could squeeze the most out of this IPO that they just had. I think that they're overvalued. The IPO was overvalued, and then when they went live and then the stock price went up over $100 per share, that was absolutely overvalued. I don't know what their current price is right now, but they'll be moving back down towards their fundamental value. The point being, though, the crypto IPO boom is here. Uphold's going to be a part of it, and they've been an incredible platform for me, linked up down below. Next, we talked about it yesterday. I put out the warning about XRP staking and passive income and everybody and their brother coming for your XRP. Well, it's interesting because Blockworks Advisory just put out this thread here today talking about what proper integration in DeFi could unlock for the XRP ecosystem, right? They say XRP has no native yield. And this is something that I talked about yesterday because a lot of people are saying, oh, come stake your XRP with us. There is no staking on the XRP ledger. There is no native function for staking on the XRP ledger. And so I just want these platforms to call it what it is, right? You are giving up your XRP and they have some plan or program or scheme to be able to generate yield for you. It is not staking. But I don't want to get lost on the technicalities of what it is or what it isn't. I just want them to be clear on how the yields are being generated and where your XRP is going to be stored at when you give up your control to them. But it's interesting because Blockworks is recognizing the same thing that many of us in the space are seeing, that there's a massive opportunity for XRP DeFi. And like I said, these guys are going to be coming out of the woodworks to take your XRP. Before you give it up to them, make sure you conduct your due diligence. They say XRP has no native yield. Could proper integration in DeFi lending unlock a $1 billion opportunity? We size the opportunity for an XRP DeFi lending market for more markets XYZ, where it could realistically land, drawing from historical data, perp open interest correlations, and qualitative factors. Here's what we found. Now, I'm just going to come on down here. I'm just going to come on down here to the conclusion. Why this matters. Currently, there's no staking yields for XRP. Idle supply seeks yield, right? A lot of people want to put their XRP to work, but we don't have a way to do so on the XRP ledger other than the AMM. Proven perp open interest to DeFi spillover in other ecosystems. Speculative activity plus delta neutral basis trades likely to drive early borrowing. XRP has the open interest, the idle capital, and the collateral profile for a meaningful lending market that more markets will bring to life. Full report coming soon with a deep dive into XRP, the relationship between perps, open interest, and DeFi lending, and more. This is only going to start to pick up from here. XRP season is here. XRP DeFi set to explode. But before you give up your XRP, who are they? How are they going to generate the yield? And is that going to be a sustainable program for generating yield into the future? There's many more questions that we have to ask, but please conduct your due diligence before we ape into XRP DeFi, okay? This brings me to the title of this video, a big, beautiful bull run coming for XRP and the rest of the assets. Why? Because we have a big, beautiful bill that's set to increase our deficit by estimates of 2 to 5 trillion. And this is going to be rocket fuel for our markets. It's going to be more than rocket fuel. This is not rocket fuel. This is the matter that the aliens use in their UFOs to travel interdimensional. This is not rocket fuel. This is that anti-gravity propulsion system. You guys get the point I'm trying to say. This is not just rocket fuel. This is something else. And to showcase the point, you know, this is a great idea, right? This sounds fantastic on paper. But with all of these government programs and all of this government spending, you must ask the question, where does the money come from? If it ain't coming from the taxpayers, it's going to have to be printed at the Federal Reserve. And so, although this idea sounds great on paper, nobody's asking the question, well, where does the money come from? Trump says that for every U.S. citizen born after December 31st, 2024, before January 1st, 2029, the federal government will make a one-time contribution of $1,000 into a tax-deferred account that will track the overall stock market. So you heard it, XRP family. I've been telling you guys you need to be pumping out those babies. I've been telling the XRP family that for some time now. Me and wifey might have to change our plans up here. We were going to take a little break before we had baby number 3, but we might have to change that. We might have to adjust the plan a little bit, huh? Speed up the timeline. Whoopsies. $1,000 for every baby. You want to see a baby boom? Here we go. And this sounds great, right? $1,000 for everybody. And the idea is great. I love this because it's getting every U.S. citizen that's now going to be born in our country between now and 2029. You're immediately born into asset ownership. Great. Sounds great on paper, right? Who's funding it? Well, we'll worry about that later, right? We'll worry about how much it adds to the deficit. We'll worry about how much it adds to the debt later, right? Forget about it. We'll deal with it later. But I asked Grok, I said, how much will the big, beautiful bill increase the U.S. deficit? Here's the response that I get. We have estimates of 2.4 trillion from the Congressional Budget Office, and their total deficit increase could even run up to over 3 trillion. Now we have other groups though that are saying that 3.3 trillion increase in primary deficits with a 7.2% rise in national debt over 10 years. Other groups are saying 3.8 trillion. And then I even have this one, the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget. What a concept there, right? Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget. Why would we do such a thing? Who needs to be responsible when we're talking about the U.S. government? Estimates a 2.4 trillion increase in primary deficits, rising to 3 trillion with interest costs. Remember, our cost of our interest is now exceeding our defense spending. How do empires fall? Well, there's your answer. And potentially 5 trillion if temporary provisions like certain tax cuts are made permanent. So if we get all these tax cuts and they are made permanent, this deficit increase could be upwards of 5 trillion. Now remember, don't get it twisted here. I will call out both sides, both parties, President Trump, President Biden, or Resident Biden, whatever he was. I'll call out anybody that's going to continue to debase our children's future. Yes, on one side, we're going to give $1,000 to every child. That's great. Fantastic. What's the cost? Who pays for it? See, nobody asks these questions anymore. But the point being, I'm not here to debate and really get into the politics too much. I want to get profit, baby. You know, for me, profit over politics every single day of the week. While people are debating the left, the right, the up, the down, this God, that God, who you love, who you do, what. Are you making money? Are you getting on the right side of the transfer of wealth? Because for crying out loud, they're going to add 5 trillion to our deficit. They've already taken this to almost 37 trillion in debt. There's over 150 trillion in unfunded liabilities. There is no turning around. And yet, most people are still doing, just like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, still going to school so that they can get a job, so that they can try to save up a little bit of money. And the sad part is how many people are going to get left behind when this is all said and done. I'm begging you to get on the right side of this transfer of wealth. Before you debate politics with your families at the next barbecue, ask them how they're set up for this transfer of wealth. Hey, man, we can talk about Trump after you tell me what you're doing to make more money right now. Then I'll get your opinion on Trump. Whether you like him, whether you love him, what are you doing to get on the right side of transfer of wealth while we're having our summer barbecue here? Because when you combine this stablecoin legislation with the market structure bill, with this big, beautiful bill, you are going to get a big, beautiful bull run. But it also means inflation is coming back. This is why I say Main Street economy is going to be squeezed and going to bleed out for years to come. But am I bullish on these assets? 100%. I couldn't get more bullish on these assets. But I am deathly concerned about Main Street not getting on the right side of this. When you combine the legislation between stablecoin, market structure, and the big, beautiful bill, it is more than rocket fuel. It is the matter that drives anti-gravity propulsion. Okay? Combine that and hone in specifically on XRP. What catalysts are we looking at? The SEC versus Ripple case concluding and the XRP spot ETFs going live. I am telling you right now, folks, XRP is going to double digits with ease. No doubt about it. And just that move in and of itself is a life-changing opportunity, is a generational wealth opportunity for many of us that stacked XRP so low. For even the new people coming in, it can still be a life-changing opportunity. And even if you don't have much money, right? Just like President Trump's trying to do, get you $1,000 for your baby. As soon as they pop out, they got $1,000 to their name. That's great. We have to start somewhere. And the biggest problem is that not enough people are even starting the process of getting on the right side of the transfer of wealth because we're too busy getting divided. We're too busy getting distracted. Don't let that be you. This big, beautiful bill equals a big, beautiful bull run. This golden age, yes, of course, but only for those that get into asset ownership. So let that be you. If you appreciate what we're doing, let's make sure we like this video, smack it, tap it on the way out for us. Help us out by sharing it out far and wide, and come on back tonight 10 p.m. Eastern for our live show. We'll take your comments and questions as well. God bless you all. We'll see you in the next one.